So as part of session 4, which deals with bee health, I thought I'd show you 4 of the treatments we use to help with this. So let's start with Max first. Max means mite away quick strips, and you get a big box, a minimum 10 treatments, so I'll give you 20 strips per hive. So that would be for a full size hive that you use 2 strips. We can see a little video of us removing the strips after treatment, so you can see roughly where you position them on top of the brood bars, brood frames. So as most of these treatments, maybe except for oxalic acid sublimation, they are temperature dependent, and they're also dependent on the state of the hive. Now Max is quite good because you can use it spring and summer really, and you can use it if you've got supers on the hive. It's not supposed to taint the honey or ruin the honey at all, put any chemicals in the honey. It uses fulmic acid, which is the acid that ants spray with as an attack acid, and it comes in gel strips. So I'll open it very briefly because these boxes are hard to open and the things overcome you. Well, I can't even open it. Very difficult to open these boxes. There we go. And immediately, the fumes are coming up. But you can see you get a pack like this that has 2 strips in. So you take this to the hive with some scissors, cut it open and put it on the top bars of the brood area. And it comes with some instructions which are always best to read first. I'm going to close this box quick because the fumes are killing me. Drawbacks on this: it is very effective. Drawbacks are really when you first apply it, because as you can see for me the fumes were quite aromatic and not very pleasant. The bees can upset the pheromones in the hive, so the bees can do things like all cluster on the outside. Some people report problems with the queens afterwards, this sort of stuff. We've never really had problems with the queens. The bees may attempt to make queen cells because all the pheromones are upset, I think, more than anything. Maybe the queens go off lay a bit, but it is very effective treatment. And if you really need to treat your hive in spring or summer and you've got supers on, this is about the only game in town, so it's very good. Then we come to Apiguard. So Apiguard comes in a box like this, and it's a foil sachet, a bit like a slim cat food or something like this. So you need to apply Apiguard once again. Read the instructions. It must be applied during the right temperature. I think it's above 15 degrees. And what you would do, have just the brood box. You can't apply this with supers on. Just open this about 2/3. Put it on top of the brood frames, and then you leave it for 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Replace the first tray with a second one. So you need 2 of these. And then leave it until the tray is empty. Okay, so what we normally do is just on the brood box, put it on the frames and have an eek or a super on top of it. So because you need the space to put it on. Okay, that's very effective. It's a very effective treatment based on thymol more than anything, I believe. Yeah. Apiguard gel, 25% thymol, so sort of essential oil. A third one we use are these strips. So this is Apivar. It's all Api something, most of the treatments. And Apivar contains amitraz. This really hits the Varroa directly. Yet again, you can't apply this when you've got supers on. Normally a full hive would take 2 strips. But what you can do is put it into a nuke, for example, and just use 1 strip and move the strip around. It's quite a long treatment, about 6 weeks actually. So every once in a while when you inspect, give the strip a scratch with the hive tool and put it maybe in a slightly different location, and that works very well. That's very effective. That's a very good, quite a good end of season treatment when you're taking the supers off, or for example, as I said, weak hives that are building up. It's not very bad for the pheromones like Max's, so it's quite a good treatment to have under your belt. What we would tend to do is vary these treatments so you don't get Varroas which are very resistant to one or the other. So don't just use one type of treatment. I think Max for treating when you've got supers on, as I said, is the only game in town, but you could vary these two, for example. Sometimes use Apiguard, sometimes use Apivar. Now we come to a slightly more complex one. As you can see here, lots of equipment. So this is oxalic acid sublimation, where you heat oxalic acid crystals, which just looks like white sugar really, high, and it turns into a vapor, and you put the device in the bottom of the brood chamber, heat the area where you've got the crystals, and the vapor goes up through the hive. We've got hives that have see-through crown boards, so when I've done this, I've looked inside the hive and the bees don't seem distressed at all. As far as we know, bees haven't worked up any resistance to oxalic acid, so it's safe to use almost any time of year. Primarily, I guess we would use it when the hive is broodless. So for example, let's say you've got a swarm, even you put it in the box, it has settled in the box, and before it's capped any cells, you can well before that, hopefully when the larva is very young, give it a treatment in the evening. So to treat for this, you would basically normally do it in the evening. You can't do it with hives with supers on yet again. So you would go to the entrance, maybe block the entrance a little bit, and put whatever device you use inside. Normally put the bottom tray in as well, so it doesn't, so the vapors don't go down, forced up a little bit into the hive, and whatever device you have, there'll be a time period you leave it in for. When we had the more a wand type electric ones, these ones, I'll put a link on this video, have a little cup at the end where you put maybe 5 milligrams of oxalic acid crystals in, put it in the hive and then plug it in. They tended to take about 10 minutes from plugging in, heating up, vaporizing the oxalic acid crystals until the point they all go away. What you can do before you put this in the hive, just test it yourself out in the open with a 5 milligrams of crystals, and time how long it takes for it to work properly and all the crystals to be vaporized. So we used to have the electric ones, as I said, but last year we went to this device, which is based on directly heating the oxalic acid crystals in a metal pipe, if you like. So I tend to take this little box around if we're going to the out apiaries with some oxalic acid crystals in. Officially, this is the oxalic acid crystals you need to buy, apibioxal. Okay. Other people just get quite pure oxalic acid crystals off eBay or somewhere and use that, but I obviously can't recommend that because it's not approved legally. So that's the crystals, container and what you use. Good to have when you're using this. Things get very hot, some water to cool things down quickly. You've got your device itself. So what you do, you put the oxalic acid crystals in this small container or shot, if you want to call it that. Put it into the device. And then you can turn it that way up. And then you put the burner on this end. Click and light the burner and put it directly into the hive, yet again with the bottom board in. And this is virtually an instant treatment. You haven't got 10 minutes heating up. It'll heat up in 10 seconds and start vaporizing the oxalic acid crystals. And basically leave it about a minute, and if you pull the end out, you can see if there's any vapor still coming out, put it in again. But if the vapor stopped coming out, then that's the hive done. So if you're doing a lot of hives, this is very quick, because you can have multiple shots ready. Pull that one out, put that one on, and off you go again with the next hive. So that's very quick. It does get red hot, so that's why I would have the water and have some fairly thick sort of rigger's gloves to handle things with. I mean, these aren't asbestos or heat proof or anything like this, but you know, what I tend to do is when I've finished, quickly just pop a bit of water over, and then it's okay to handle with these gloves on. So you have to be careful. The other thing you've got to be careful about, I have found sometimes with the heat and everything, these stick on. So sometimes it's good to have some grips around just to take those ends off quickly. You can get a few ends. So you can get about, you know, I've got 4. So you can pre-fill them and have them ready. So they also give you a little measuring cup, so you just dip it in the oxalic acid crystals and put the crystals into the cup, which is sweet. So health and safety, when you're doing this, not only do you have the problem from the high heat, but the oxalic acid vapors themselves are not very nice to your lungs. So you should really get a full face mask. Now this is a 3M face mask, eyes and everything. Okay, and these are 3M organic acid vapor filters. So the number on this is 6001CN. You can see that. Okay. So you've got your mask, you've got your filters, and it's just a question of popping the filters on. If you just, there's key, so if you just look carefully, you'll see how they're keyed, which is always initially tricky to get in, and you can see not very good at it. There we are, like that. So you snap both on like this, be gentle, you don't break the little plastic tabs, of course. Like that. There we are. And then put the face mask on before doing any treatment. So that's the 4 treatments: Max, Apiguard, Apivar, and oxalic acid sublimation or vaporization. For the vaporization, as I said, we tend to do that if there's no supers on and there's no brood. The advantage of this is you can do it at low temperatures. So we do this around Christmas time as well, winter solstice. And at that time there's supposed to be no brood in the hive, but sometimes we have quite warm winters, and I'm sure there still is. You can do this after a shook swarm, maybe a few days after a shook swarm. Be a very good point to do this. Any time, as I said, for hive or nuke, large or small, where there's no brood at that time and no supers on. Yeah, again, Apivar, just to summarise, Apivar strips you can put in easy at any time, but there must be no supers present. Apiguard, a bit more sensitive when you put that on temperature wise. Yet again, no brood present. And Max, a formic acid strip, gel strip treatment, temperature dependent, temperature range, but you can treat with supers on. So that about rounds this up, and hope you have fun beekeeping. Bye for now.